Hello, and thank you for watching. This is Jennifer Bowman from Olympia Piano, and this is part of the series on Chopin's Nocturne in D flat major. In this video, we're going to cover measures 42 through 45. There's a lot packed into these four measures, so I'm going to try my best not to leave anything out. If you have been following this series, you know that there's some additional information about time signature and key in video 1, as well as how to play 3 against 2 in video number 2. So please refer back to those if you're just joining us for this series. These are some very difficult measures, so just do your best. If you've been following along, you know I'd like to go measure by measure, generally starting with the left hand. So let's start right ahead with the left hand in measure 42. Nothing that we haven't seen before. A couple of different fingering options here. Group 1 in the left hand, starting with finger 5. We have 2 good options. 1, 4, 1, 2, 5. Hop down to 5. Or you could also have 5, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. Try those out depending on the size of your hand. They might feel a little bit different. Then part 2 in the left hand, starting with 5. 5, 1, 4, 1, 2, 5, 5. Or low B flat, 5, 1, 3, 1, 2, 5, 5. One thing I want you to pay attention to is the low note at the beginning of group number 2. Depending on your score, it might be indicated with the letters F, Z, which is short for sforzando, or SF, which is another short for sforzando. Basically, it's a big, large accent. When you put it all together, it will sound like this, and I just want you to pay attention that sometimes when you have the sforzando, you can take a little bit of extra time to kind of make it more important. So instead of just playing straight through like this, you might stretch the timing a little bit. All right, now let's take a look at the right hand in measure 42. There's a lot of things to consider in these 4 measures. So I'm going to give you a lot of options with the hopes that you can find the smoothest way that suits your hand, all right? So the first thing to consider is that we've got this chord at the beginning of the measure, all on black keys. That chord could be played with 4-2-1, 4-3-1, 5-3-1, 5-4-2. It all depends on what feels good on the black keys for your hand. All right, so the second part, we've got a lot going on. We've got a grace note, pinky will turn into a grace note. 1-5 is probably the best for that fingering. 1-4, I guess you could do too, but you've got to, if you do 1-4, you've got to switch to 5. All right. So let's say we get to 5, we have a tie, then we've got 7 more notes. The tie would match up with the left hand sforzando. Then we have a duple. So here's fingering 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, triplet, 1, 4, 2, lift, new chord. Fingering 2. Chord, grace note, tie. Exactly the same for the first part, 4, 5, 2, 3, 1, but instead of 4 on this G flat, put 5. And then you're going to lift and turn, do the next chord. Option 3, chord, grace note. Now instead of 4 on D, put 2. This one's a little more compact, but it works really well. 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1. 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, 1. Lift, chord. Option 4, chord, grace note. Instead of 2 or 4, we're going to put 3. 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2. Again, kind of compact, kind of climbing over the thumb. And then finally, option 5, chord, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 4, 2, chord. So as you're trying to figure out the options. Consider what feels natural as you're making your way through all those half steps. And then consider the angle of your hand, how it might be changing. So now let's take a quick look at the articulation and the dynamics for this. We already talked about the left hand sforzando on the second big group, taking a little bit more time. As you can see, the right hand has one of those also on beat 2. So articulation, you might see a staccato, a little dot staccato on beat 1, or you might see a little caret, the other kind of staccato, the more intense one. Usually I interpret that as more intense. Either way, the pedal's going to be down. So if I didn't have the pedal down, this is what it would sound like. With the pedal down, it just gives it a little bit more ring. Okay, so I would suggest if you want to make a lot out of that sforzando, don't just go right into it, but take a little time getting into it. In terms of timing for the grace note, my suggestion would be to play the grace note. So we play the staccato, and then grace note, and then together. So play the grace note before the beat, so that lands together. All right. And now let's look at the rest of the articulation. So then once we're up here, so we have lift, smooth, and this is whatever fingering you do. Then you're gonna lift at the end of it and then do the next thing, same exact way. In most editions, you're gonna have a little bit of a diminuendo written in. I like to interpret that diminuendo to not play the notes too loudly after that sforzando. Okay, now we've talked about the fingering, the articulation, the sforzandi, and now let's do the timing. So the first half of the measure, very straightforward. Everything lines up really nicely. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and then we've got 2 against 3. So we could either do ta, tiki, ta, ta, tiki, ta, or 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Either of those ways to line it up. Basically, we want this to be together, taking turns together, taking turns. So let's put the metronome on to an 8th note at 50. That's 5-0. Here's how it's going to sound. 2, 3. Now without the metronome. Let's take a look at the fingering in measure 43. Before going over all the fingering, just a gentle reminder that C flat is going to be the first note of each group, a high C flat and a low C flat, and that is on a white key, flatting down. And then similarly, the 5th note of the first pattern is a B double flat. So it's also a white key, and don't forget to play that same note near the end of the measure. All right, so fingering options, I'm going to give you 2 for each group. Group 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 2, 4, 5, or 5, 1, 3, 1, 2, 5, 5. Group 2, starting with 5. 5, 1, 4, 1, 2, 4, 5. Not that far of a jump. Or 5, 1, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5. Again, in that group, we're going to have that sforzando. A little time. All right, right hand for measure 43. It's the same exact rhythm and pattern as 42. Just a few different notes. Notice on the first chord we have that B double flat, which is going to feel the same as the note A, the white key on the keyboard. Again, with fingering on the chords, it just depends on what fingering you used previously. We could have that chord be 5-3-1, 4-2-1, 4-3-1. So see what works best for you. Same pattern, different notes. Again, we have the 1-5 or 1-4, switch to 5. So again, I'm going to give you 5 different fingerings. So we're on 5 on that tie. Then we have 4, 5, 2, 3, 1, 5, 2, chord, or 4, 5, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2. Remember that B double flat up there as well. Fingering 3. 3 on the D, 3, 4, 2 on the A flat, 3, then 1, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, fingering 4. Starting the same way, 3 on D. This one's interesting. 3, 4, 1, 2. You see how your hands are kind of in there, so it works pretty well. And then 1, then come over, 4, 2. Fingering 5. Again, we're going to have the thumb on that A flat, that black key. Starting with 2 on the D. 2, 3, 1. Quick move. 4, 2, 3, 1. Then chord. Notice also that the chord at the beginning of 43, G flat, E flat, B double flat, is the same sound as the chord at the beginning of 44. It's just written differently because it serves a different harmonic function, which I'm not going to go into, but it's the same 3 keys. So we start the same and end the same. All right, putting the hands together, same exact rhythm. This one has a longer diminuendo, so I feel like this one is a little more intense on the sforzandi, so then they can die out. Intense in terms of the timing. So consider that when you get it up to speed and you get it feeling really good, hands together. But slowly, we have together, grace note, together, duple, together, then we have ta, tiki, ta, ta, tiki, ta. Or starting from the second half. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, together. All right, so let's put the metronome on and line that up really nicely. So we've got the metronome on 50, 5, 0, that's to the 8th note. So we have a 1, 2, 3, 1. All right, and then finally, without the metronome, a little bit more in tempo. Okay, now let's do the left hand for measures 44 and 45. This is organized a little bit differently than we've seen before in this entire piece. So we have a normal first group of 6. One little difference is if you notice on that very first note, there's a stem up as well as a stem down joining the group of 6. So that means that C is especially important. It's taking 2 different voices up. Now after that group of 6, then we have 3 groups with a slur joining the group as well as a double stem on the first note. This is called a hemiola, by the way, when a composer takes the rhythm and stretches it out, expands it a little bit. So this is our hemiola group of 4. And a third group of 4. And then back to the group of 6, back to our main theme. So within this left hand, not too many fingering options. Group 1, I'm going to just show you one option. 5, 1, 4, 1, 2, 4. And then 5, 1, 3, 2 for this short group of 4. 5, 1, 3, 2. By the way, notice that I'm holding that, even though I have the pedal, I'm holding that to emphasize more that C sharp and that double stem. 5, 1, 3, 2. Now these notes are going to slide in. The middle notes stay the same. 5, 1, 3, 2. And then we're going to keep these notes the same, but they're spelled differently. What do I mean by that? I mean that this F sharp is the same key as G flat. So we're going to scoot the pinky up and we're going to scoot the second finger down. 5, 1, 3, 2. You could also do 4, 1, 3, 2 for that if you liked. So 5, 1, 3, 2, 5, hand, holding those, double stem. And then the last group, 2 options, 5, 1, 4, 1, 2, 5, 5, or 5, 1, 3, 1, 2, 5, 5. Measure 44, the first thing to look at with the right hand is the fingering for the chords. Do what feels comfortable to your hand. You can have lots of choices, 5, 3, 1, 4, 3, 1, 4, 2, 1, even 3, 2, 1 if your hands are large. And then in terms of the octaves with the grace note, you can either have 1, 5 or 1, 4, whatever feels comfortable to you, or even 1, 5, 4. If we're putting that hands together, it's very straightforward. All the grace notes are going to go slightly before the beat. So if I do this hands together, measure 44. 44 hands together at tempo, you will notice if you listen to a lot of versions of this piece, people play this many, many different ways. Sometimes this measure is speeding up like this, or sometimes people will take a lot of time, with the most time being on the 3rd chord and grace note octave. So you might hear something like this. So play around, see what type of pacing works for you and your artistic vision. I'm going to give you 5 different fingerings that are commonly done for this measure 45. And feel free to even mix and match what I give you. So if you like the first half of the fingering of one version and the second half of the other one, just use that. Find what works for your hand. But these are all kind of tried and true fingerings. Some might feel fantastic to you and some might feel awful. It all depends on the size and the flexibility and even the how wide, thin, or large your fingers are. So just experiment and make it fun. I'm going to start at the beginning of measure 45. And like I mentioned before, the grace note octave could either be 1, 5 or 1, 4. So the fingering after the octave will depend on which finger ends up being on that F sharp. And by the way, one little thing to note, you'll see the F sharp is tied on beat 1 to a G flat on beat 2. That is an enharmonic, which means the same key has different spellings or different ways of writing it. You're not going to play this key twice. You are going to tie it. That seems maybe a little bit confusing, but it has to do with the harmonic structure in this particular set of measures. All right, so just don't lift up when you get to beat 2. So fingering number 1, 1, 5 for the grace note octave. Here's the tie. Post tie, we're going to have 4, 3, 1, 5, 4, 3, 1, 5, 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switch silently to 3 or 5 or whichever finger you like. So you'll start on 1. In my case, I'm going to switch to 5. Fingering number 2. We're going to start with 1, 5. Here's our tie. 4, 3, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now pay attention here. 5, 3, 4. I know that feels weird, but it keeps your hand at a particular angle. 1, 3, 4, 3, 1. Switch to whichever finger. Fingering number 3. In this fingering, what we're going to do is end up on the tie with finger 4. So if you do 1, 5, silent switch to 4, or just do 1, 4. Okay? Tie, end up on 4, regardless of how you do it. Then 5, 4, 1. Now this is a little bit interesting, but it works. 3, 5, 4, 1. And then another kind of interesting one. 5, 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, 3, 4. If you choose to do this one, be aware about the angle of your hand because you'll have a lot of kind of sideways business like this. 3, 5, 4, 1. So that works pretty well because we're keeping the shorter finger down here and using the longer ones up here. Okay, fingering 4. Here we go. Same thing, ending up on 4 on the top. Starts the same way. 5, 4, 1. Then 3, 5, 4, 1. Similar to the last one we just did. 5, 4, 3, 1. 3, 4, 3, 4. And finally, fingering number 5. Again on 4, 5, 4, 1, 4, 5, 4, 1, 5, 4, 5, 1, 4, 5, 4, 3. So try all of those out, see what works best for you. All right, now let's put that together slowly. It's a bunch of triplets, so after this series, you should feel pretty confident about how the triplets fit together with the duples. Left hand has 2 notes a beat. Right hand, with the exception of beat 1, has 3 notes per beat. And let's do that right now slowly. So I'm going to do it both ways. I'll do the ta, tiki ta version first of the 2 against 3. And then I'll do the 1, 2, 3 counting second. So we won't have that at the very beginning. The grace note will come before. Ta, tiki, ta, 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 ta. Now let's do that with 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 counting. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Cascades down really nicely. Okay, now I'm going to do it slowly with the metronome. The metronome is on 50, 5, 0. Here we go. Now at a faster tempo. So this is another one of those measures where artists take quite a bit of artistic freedom. You might hear it quite quickly with a big diminuendo back, or you might hear a very large retard. I'll show you both of those at tempo. I'm going to start though in measure 44. So that was the faster version of something you might hear. Now with the second time, I'm going to do a large retard, which you hear quite often. So first I'm going to do a slow playthrough with the metronome, just so you can make sure you're lining everything up, okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Finally, here are the 4 measures with no metronome, more a tempo with a lot of rubato, push and pull. Thank you very much for watching this video, which featured measures 42 through 45 of this beautiful nocturne. I hope you found it helpful. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so by subscribing. You can do so by sharing this with people who enjoy this style of teaching. I'd like to say a huge thank you to those of you who have sent me donations through PayPal. It really helps me grow my channel and allot time to create these videos. And it also helps me to know which content is valuable to you so I can create more content like that. So thank you so much. And for those who have watched my videos for a while, I love to hear about your progress and I love to hear where you're from. So please leave that for me in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching.